Welcome, everyone. My name is Joni Williams. I work with Albers Communications, and that's the PR firm that works with the NPDA. I'd like to thank you for attending this NPDA event tonight. It's basically the next in an ongoing series of caregiver family education events that we've had a great response to. Tonight we are covering creating a senior-friendly home to help parents age in place, and hopefully it will provide you with some worthwhile information as far as caring for an aging parent or another family member, just so you can kind of help get their home in a safe way. Basically, before we start, I want to give you a couple more housekeeping items. There's a chat function that you can see on your screen. You can chat in questions, and we will address those at the end of the event. We try and keep it on mute just so that there's no background noise, and we can make everything go smoothly, and we will answer those questions for you at the end. If you have any problems during the event, you can call 1-800-843-9166 for the Ready Talk service line. If you have some kind of problem with your connection and can't get back online, you can do that. So go ahead to the next. All right, Marilee Orsini is going to be our moderator tonight. She has done several of these events for us, and we really appreciate her and welcome her back. She is a member of the NPDA. Marilee has a unique background that combines skills in technology and people. Her business roots, however, began in private pay home care. She started a geriatric care managed in-home care agency and is now the managing director and founder of Core Cubed. She is recognized nationally for her expertise in strategically marketing home care and home health services. Marilee is involved in numerous organizations within the home care industry, and like I said, she's very active with the NPDA. So welcome, Marilee.
Thank you, Joni, and thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We know that you have choices in how to spend your time, and we're really happy that you have chosen to do this tonight. And we have a great program for you, and I'm sure you will leave the program being very happy that you attended. As Joni said, this is a webinar that is focusing on creating a senior-friendly home to help parents age in place. And we hope that at the end of this program that you will feel you've got some knowledge to address some safety and comfort issues for those seniors who do choose to age in place. Joni also mentioned that this webinar is brought to you by the National Private Duty Association, and that's a trade association for home care agencies who provide quality in-home care services. And obviously, if the home is situated better so that someone can age in place at home, then you'll have a much nicer experience in terms of home care. So we have two expert presenters with us tonight. And the first is going to be Laura DeBruin. And Laura is Administrator and COO of Lifestyle Options and is based in Chicago, Illinois. And she has worked for Lifestyle Options for over 14 years. She does have a Master's of Science in Social Work, and she's also a Certified Aging Services Professional. And she is someone that brings a wealth of knowledge about senior housing and housing for people with disabilities, and she's certainly well-versed on the subject of safety for seniors in their homes. Our second presenter is Dustin Wright, and Dustin is General Manager of Rest Assured, and he's based in Lafayette, Indiana. He works with home care providers, case managers, individuals with disabilities, seniors, and families to tailor monitoring systems to their needs. And Dustin's career actually began in home care while he was a student at Purdue University, and he worked as a direct support professional. So he has much hands-on experience, and also he's got a lot of professional experience in this field of developmental disabilities. Tonight's program is going to cover a pretty wide range of topics in a fairly short time. And we'll start first with Laura DeBruin going over the sort of an overview of the issues of aging in place and changing health needs. She'll talk about designing a home for senior safety and comfort and appropriate furnishings also for someone to want to age in place. And then Dustin will come in and talk about ambient technology, which is something that may be new to some of you all, but will be very interesting in terms of a way to assist someone to age in place and remain safely at home. And then we'll give you some resources. And at the end, we will open it up for questions. So if you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat box. Go ahead and ask them, and we will screen through those. Sometimes we get a lot of questions, and we'll screen through those. And if you have questions we don't get to tonight, and just because of timing, then someone will answer those questions for you. So without further ado, Laura DeBruin, would you like to start our webinar tonight?
Thank you very much, Mary Lee, for that kind introduction. I am very excited to be part of this webinar tonight, so thank you very much. Historically, if someone has difficulty living by themselves, it was a signal, a red flag, that it was time to move in with family or go to a nursing home. But for most people right now, that's no longer the case. You can live on your own for many years and grow old in your own home, and when you begin to start needing help with daily tasks, that help can come to you in your own home. This is what we call aging in place. Statistics show that seniors who age in place are happier, healthier, and live longer. Seniors still want to be able to go to the grocery store, church, and visit with friends. Seniors want to maintain the level of independence they got as a teenager. They don't want to be a burden to their adult children. Most seniors right now have a phone, a cell phone. They use the computer, the email, the internet, and they are very open in learning and using new technologies to enable them to stay in their home for as long as they can. We all value our ability to live independently, but without a good plan, it may be difficult to stay in control of our home, our finances, health issues. So to make it a safe environment for your parents and keep them in the most familiar place that they know, their home, we need a plan. So it's time to plan, prepare, and hopefully tonight we'll provide you with some tools so your parents can remain in their own home safely and comfortably. As we get older, we tend to develop some chronic health conditions like diabetes, arthritis, Alzheimer's. Aging in place means just that. Stay and put. You need to have a place that is safe and meets your abilities, your own home. Let's take for an example. Maybe your mom right now is in good health, but that could definitely change tomorrow, 2 years, 4 years down the road. Be productive. Be prepared for the changing health needs. Things like macular degeneration, cataracts, eye diseases due to diabetes. Is your father able to get up and down the stairs as easily as before, in and out of the shower? Does your mom use a cane, a walker, a wheelchair to maneuver around your home? A lot of times their mobility is weakened due to arthritis. They have a difficult time by using the shower knob, the doorknob. Opening a jar of mayonnaise is now a very difficult task. Is mom experiencing some memory loss? Is she remembering to take her medications on time? What are the sleeping patterns? Is she up at night and sleeping during the day? Are they wandering? As I mentioned, aging in your own home is crucial. With a person with a memory loss, it's essential. Stay put and age in place. There are so many other health concerns and issues as we age. So we're here to find solutions that work for both the parent and the child. We want our parents to be able to remain safe and comfortable in their own home. I'm going to share with you an example on exactly how you could do this. 2 years ago, I met with a family in our company. I met with a family, and her name was Rose, and she was 92 years old. She had been widowed for over 30 years, but she had lived in the same neighborhood in the same home for 60 years. Her goal and her family's goal was that she wanted to remain in her own home for as long as she can. Let me tell you a little bit about Rose. She's frail. She's unsteady at times. She has a cane and walker, but sometimes she doesn't want to use them. So what the family did is they installed some grab bars, some railings. They purchased a first response system for medical emergencies. They set up a medication system so she's able to be reminded when to take her medication and what medication to take. And they also hired a caregiver 2 days a week to help Rose for errands, doctor's appointments, grocery shopping. The family was thrilled. Rose can remain at home at 92. She's happy. The children are happy. They have a peace of mind. It's definitely a win-win situation. That was 2 years ago. Rose is still living independently and safely in her home. Renovating the house is not always necessary to make someone safe in their home. Small adaptations can also work. Comfort means different things to people. Seniors have comfort in their own home. The noises, both inside and out, Sometimes when I'm doing an assessment, I will ask for a specific document for a senior. They know exactly where to find it within record time. It amazes me, and they normally have a lot of paperwork around. And their home is their foundation they have built. They have raised their children. They have their grandchildren there. There's birthday parties, picnics, holidays. They love the memories, and they want to make new ones. It is a place for the children to come and visit. But what about mowing the lawn or shoveling the snow? You could hire those services. Your parents won't have to do it. You won't have to do it. You don't have to worry about it. It's stress-free living, peace of mind for you. And when you visit your parents or your mom and dad, you could do just that, visit. Most seniors currently own their own home, and aging in place is a significant cost savings. Nursing homes, assisted livings can run anywhere between $4,000 to $8,000 a month, depending on the level of care. But modifying the home, paying for some of those auxiliary services, hiring a caregiver is still a cheaper alternative and one that your parents would want. So what's important to you? What's important to your parents? At first glance, you look around at their home, and you think it will be safer to go to an assisted living, to a nursing home. The parents can fall anywhere. Their health could decline at any time. There are certainly no guarantees. So why not keep your parent in their own home? If you ask a senior, 98% of them would say they do feel safe in their own home because they know the area, the neighborhood, the sounds, the neighbors. They are comfortable. They know where everything is. They know the nuances of the home. It's very comforting and reassuring to remain in your own home because that's what your parents have known for years. Moving into a facility is not as comforting or safe to a parent. In fact, it's a very scary alternative for a lot of people. For many of you, your parents like to save things, from old newspapers to all the birthday cards they've received for the past 20 years. Throwing things away for the senior is like throwing away memories. You want to be very sensitive with this subject, but it is so necessary to have a safe and comfortable environment to remove some of this clutter. Make sure you make clear pathways. Organize it, recycle, give it away to charity, maybe a little bit at a time. Because if you do not remove this clutter, it's certainly a hazard to your parents, and that's not safe environments. One thing that I do when I'm assessing a home, or I tell families to assess a home, is get the perspective of your parent, to be in their shoes, literally. If your parent uses a walker or a cane, make sure you get or a wheelchair, make sure you get in that wheelchair. Use that walker. You will be able to recognize and see what your parents go through each and every day. Remove those barriers. Make that path. When you're walking and you're assessing, it's easier to move around the clutter, but in a wheelchair, it is so much harder to maneuver. We want to walk through our house, not around it. Overall, safety is the most important concern. You again want to ensure that your parents are safe, happy, and comfortable. Want to plan ahead, so if something happens, you are prepared. Don't be caught off guard. Don't be in a crisis mode. I'm just going to cover a few of the most common living areas and give you a few ideas that you can make it more safe and comfortable for your parents. The bathroom. The most common place to fall is the bathroom, so you want immediately make sure you have non-slip floorings. Get rid of those throw rugs in the bathroom. They're dangerous. Invest in a walk-in tub or shower. Sturdy bath chairs. My rule of thumb is you replace every towel rack with grab bars. Make sure there's enough grab bars around the bathroom so they remain safe. As you venture into the bedroom, for most of us, it's definitely the most personal space in our home. It's kind of our sanctuary. So check the mattress. Is it good condition? Is it comfortable? Most seniors sleep as many hours as they did when they were a teen, so you certainly want to make sure it's comfortable. Some family members have issues with incontinence, so make sure maybe you purchase a waterproof mattress and a waterproof mattress pad that is durable during those moments. Is there a fall risk? Install some guardrails. The height of the bed needs to be adjusted. It's not as easy to hop into bed at 87 as it was in 27. Another place for concern is the kitchen. Make sure you have a working smoke detector and purchase some stove covers. to avoid any unnecessary burns or fires. If your parents have any type of memory loss or dementia, you might want to get rid of the oven or unplug it and get rid of it, and maybe use a microwave or toaster oven, or better yet, bring the meals inside and have them delivered to you. Overall, the living areas, you want to remove the clutter and have clear pathways. Invest in grab bars, bilateral railings. Some of you might have heard, or your parents already have them. They're called grabbers or reachers. They're big plastic, kind of look like salad tongs, and it's meant to grab so that your parent is not reaching or bending, because when you reach, you could hurt your back. When you bend, you can fall. So we have many, many clients here who have these grabbers in every single room. I'm going to give you an example of a more involved case and something that we have done about 4 years ago. I met with a family of 6 children, both of their parents alive in their 80s. They have a 2-story, a large home. They've owned it for 30 years. Dad's health wasn't really so great. He's diabetic. Mom was the caregiver, and she was very tired and overwhelmed. The plan was to move them into an assisted living, even though Mom did not want to, nor was she really ready to or needed to. The children got to talking to me, and they all wanted Mom and Dad possibly to stay at home after we talked a little bit. That evening, the 6 children and their parents came up with a solution. They closed the upstairs, and Mom and Dad would not utilize the upstairs. Their 2-story home became a ranch. Their living room was renovated into a bedroom. They made the necessary modifications in the bathroom, and there was not really much to do in the kitchen. Some construction was needed, but it was in the family's budget, and they were much happier able to stay. Some of the things that they did for Mom and Dad to remain safe and independent in their home was they used Seattle Suttons, not only for convenience, but it was very good for Dad's health. They hired a caregiver once a week. They hired a nurse once a week to oversee the medications and to monitor both Mom and Dad's health. They got volunteers from their local church, and they provided transportation to the Sunday Mass every week. The children told me that Dad loved his lawn, but mowing was no longer an option, so they hired somebody to do that. But his son built him a raised garden bed so he can still garden. It's one of their dad's passions. So let's fast forward 4 years. This couple is still in their home. They've increased their caregiver services to 2 times a week. Dad's health is much better because it's being monitored. He has a more healthy diet. Mom as well. She hired a cleaning lady. They're happier. They have stress-free lives. Their children are happy. Their parents are happy. And it's given them such a peace of mind. And it's been working out just beautifully. So will this be easy? Absolutely not. Will it take time? Of course it will. But if you start planning, preparing, and begin to have those conversations and put supports in place and patience, your parents definitely can remain in their own home safely, comfortably, as long as they can live. Well, this concludes my portion of the presentation. Thank you, Marilee, for allowing me to be a presenter on this very important topic.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much. Dustin Wright is next, and Dustin's going to talk to us about ambient technology. Dustin?
Oh, thanks, Marilee. I'm actually very, very excited to talk about technology. I think it's one of the newest and fastest growing areas within home care and services to people in their home. I'm going to talk about a variety of different types of technology today, and the first I want to talk about is telecare, because it is one of the newest and not the most commonly known. Telecare is using technology and putting a spin on the traditional model of in-home supports or in-home caregiving, where the client in their home can actually be connected to a caregiver that is not physically present in their home but is remotely monitoring their activities. And there's a couple of different types of telecare type systems. The first is more of a passive system. And when I say passive, the system is just responding to situations or incidents or activities in the home of that client after they have happened. So an alert is sent to someone after an incident has happened. The other type of system is other types of systems are more proactive in nature, where they have more robust devices in the home, and that caregiver can actually prevent incidents and accidents from happening by the information they're getting and the data that they're receiving from that client's home. kind of subcategories of these types of systems. The first are sensor-only type systems, to where there are sensors scattered throughout the home reporting on client activities. Motion sensors, door and window sensors, sensors that can be placed in beds and chairs, and those kinds of devices reporting back to somebody that's monitoring those alerts. Other systems are actually taking that a little bit further, using sensors throughout the home, but then also using live video images from key areas within the home, the kitchen, the living room, the common areas of the home, allowing the person that's supporting that client to be a little bit more proactive in nature. Now, these services are offered at a variety of different kind of service levels to meet each client's unique needs. Some of the systems out there can do constant or continuous monitoring for any number of hours per day, a few hours in the morning and later in the evening for somebody as sundowners, or 24 hours a day, whatever that client needs. Kind of the next drop down in service levels with these types of technologies is more of a drop-in service, where a remote caregiver is virtually dropping into the home at preset or scheduled times and assisting with some activity of daily living, maybe doing a medication reminder, a well check, or simply socializing with the person. Other systems do more of just emergency watch, to where there's really no interaction with the client, but the system is there and watching for emergencies in the home, a fire, carbon monoxide levels get too high, a potential fall, those kinds of things. There are other systems out there, telecare systems, that actually allow and connect distant family members to the client, and they can actually provide support through the technology in the client's home themselves, to where son in California can see into the home of his mother who lives in Florida, and he can play more of an active role in supporting his mother. The next type of services that I wanted to kind of go over quickly are telehealth type systems, and these are a little more prevalent. We're starting to see a little bit more push at the federal level for these types of things. These are devices that are placed in the home that are actually measuring vital statistics, where sensors are in the home that can measure the client's weight, blood sugar levels, blood pressure, pulse, blood oxygen levels, and things like that. And these devices can actually remind or prompt the client to check those. Some of these devices are simple enough that a client can self-check these things. Others are a little bit more difficult, or if the client requires a little bit more assistance, a nurse coming into the home or a home care agency caregiver coming into the home can assist the client in self-checking these kinds of things. All of the data from these devices are usually available, depending on which system you pick. The data is usually available online through a secure web portal, to where a home care agency or a nurse or the physician or just the family members can view that information and see what's going on with that client's health in real time, without actually having to go out to the home to see that, or the patient or the client coming to the doctor's office to be able to see that. A lot of these devices can actually send alerts if something's out of whack. If blood sugar levels are too high, it can send an alert out to a family member or a nurse with a home care agency, so that they can be a little bit more proactive in that client's care. The real big goal of these telehealth systems, from what I've seen, the majority of it is disease management. They're very effective in helping people with congestive heart failure, diabetes, those kinds of diseases, to where when they're treated properly, that client can live a more healthy lifestyle. And also, too, obviously, some of the benefits of these were some of the statistics that you see out there. They're actually decreasing emergency room visits and rehospitalizations. The next service that we're probably all very familiar with, it's been around for 20 years now, is the personal emergency response type systems, the lifelines, the help I've fallen and I can't get up systems. And these systems, they're very simple. They communicate over a landline, a regular telephone line. Client presses a button indicating an issue. An alert is sent to a monitoring center where the monitor responds and helps triage that emergency and dispatches appropriate emergency personnel. The fourth one here that I want to talk about is medication management. Laura kind of alluded to this, and automated medication dispensers is really what I'm talking about here. And there's really a couple of different kinds of these. There are some that are just nothing more than really a glorified pill organizer that is electronic, to where it helps the client know which door to open in that medication minder. and also can remind that client and give them a prompt via an audible tone, or some of them actually have a human voice that will tell them it's medication time, and then direct them over to the machine so they can get the right drugs. Others are a little bit more robust and can do a lot more for a person that is prone to maybe open the wrong door on a medication minder or grab the wrong pill bottle and take the wrong drug. These more robust medication dispensers actually have all of the medications locked inside them. They only dispense the right drugs at the right time, providing a prompt to the client when it's time to take them. The client has to come over and press a button to get their medications, and these devices, record and store in their internal workings the compliance or non-compliance. Now, if there is non-compliance, some of these devices can actually call out again to a family member or a professional caregiver with a home care agency to let them know that a medication has been missed. A lot of these newer devices can actually do PRNs as well, where the medication is locked inside the device. The client can't get access to it. If they need a PRN, they press a button for the PRN. The drugs are dispensed, and they can't get access to any more of that PRN medication until the next medication window, the next time that drug should be taken. So these are very good in helping a client that maybe is having some medication issues manage those. One other quick note before we jump to this slide is that most of these medication dispensers can only do pills. So no other types of drugs can be placed inside of those. So these ambient technology supports can provide a lot of different things. And the first, assistance to caregivers, be it family caregivers or home care agencies or professional caregivers. They're providing a lot of information. Most of these provide some sort of reporting functionality back to someone outside the home so that they can get a report on medication compliance, get a report on the client's activities throughout that day or lack of activities or abnormal activities, things like that. And they're also connecting, as I'd mentioned, distant loved ones to clients, connecting families together using technology to overcome the geographic distance between some people. A lot of these technologies are monitoring, and they can provide more of a monitoring service. And as I've kind of mentioned, a lot of them have cameras involved where live video images are available in that client's home to people that are authorized, sensors in the home that are being monitored and their activities are monitored to make sure that people are remaining safe, compliance and non-compliance. Some of these are actually monitoring the environment that the client is living in as well, making sure that the room temperature is at the appropriate level and it hasn't dropped, maybe indicating a furnace has gone out. And a lot of these monitoring systems also kind of function as a home security system through door and window sensors, glass break sensors that can tell if somebody's breaking a pane of glass to get into the client's home. So a lot of different levels of monitoring can be done of that client and of their home. Most of these technologies when they're being monitored, are linked back to a support center or a call center where people are responding to emergencies for fires in the home, carbon monoxide levels dropping too low, intruders in the home, maybe a medical emergency or a potential fall. We've talked about maybe medication issues or non-compliance of medication. And there's even one system out there that I know of that can actually monitor the weather, current weather alerts throughout the entire country. And if that client's home is in the path of a tornado warning, these services can call that client and provide appropriate response to them and prompt them to do the appropriate thing. These support technologies are also providing increased socialization for the client, linking them to people outside their home, be it a monitoring center, caregiver, a professional caregiver through a home care agency, or family. So there's a lot of different benefits to these types of technology. The first that you can see on here is independence, which is a major goal. There was a Purdue study done a few years back that I saw where they actually went out and talked to clients that were using the telecare version of the systems that I was talking about. And they asked these clients what they felt about their independence and privacy. And 83% of the people in the Purdue study felt that their independence and privacy was increased by using these types of systems, allowing them to age in place, to stay in their homes longer, I would like to point out that a lot of these systems or the majority of these systems are best used in conjunction with home care services. It's just a natural fit. You have a caregiver coming in the home to do more of the hands-on type things, and then these other systems kind of running in the background providing additional monitoring and support during periods of time when the caregiver may not be in the home, and then obviously a lot more information to family members. A lot of these systems are being used as a major support in someone's life, and then some of them are just being used as kind of a safety net for the client. One of the other major benefits is cost savings directly to the client, decreasing their cost of care pretty significantly. We're also seeing some of these systems are decreasing medical expenses because of better care, because of more information getting to the right person at the critical time that it's needed. And then these systems are also increasing compliance with medication and other treatments as well for the client. They're connecting loved ones to information, to alerts when they need it, and face-to-face communication with that client for more socialization, which we all know helps people. And the bottom line really is with these systems is more information equals better care. More data and information when it's critical equals better care and a better quality of life for the senior living in their home.
Dustin, thank you so very much. What an informative presentation. And we have a couple of resources, actually several resources here, if you want to avail yourself of those. I might mention that this webinar was recorded and it will be posted on the National Private Duty Association website, which is privatedutyhomecare.org. So you can view this, and you can also, if you don't see these resources now or have access to them now, then you can come back to them and get them later. We're going to open it up to questions now, and we have a couple of questions here. This is, I guess, for either one of you. Do the home care businesses know about these ambient technologies, Dustin, that you talked about?
Yes. A lot of home care agencies do know about them. We get calls frequently asking, which types of systems would be best for this type of client. I don't know that every single home care agency out there knows about them, but they're becoming more and more prevalent, and I think that this technology wave is really kind of just really starting to catch on. So I think it's only going to people's knowledge of these types of systems is only going to increase, and you're starting to see them talked about more and more at conferences as well.
And we have another question about that, asking you, Dustin, to speak more to the cost savings through using ambient technology.
Sure. I mean, one of the major ones is keeping that client in their home is much, much cheaper than assisted living or nursing home placement. I mean, when you think about spending maybe a few $1,000s over a year to keep that client in their home a year longer, because they can use the technology and avoiding spending $5,000 or $6,000 in nursing home or assisted living, there's your $4,000 in savings right there. Additionally, maybe not cutting out home care service, but being able to cut back a little bit. A lot of these services are priced at a couple $100 to a few $1,000s a month, and if you can decrease home care services slightly, that's another way that clients and families can save a little bit of money.
Good, and that you touched on that about a cost range for these monitoring services, and you said they can be a little to a lot. Could you just sort of expand a little bit more into what's the low end and what's the high end?
Sure. The standard Lifeline type systems, national average, the PERS systems, national average is right around $30 a month. The medication management systems are going to range anywhere from $60 a month to $110 a month. Some of the telehealth systems are right around that range too. The telecare systems, where you're actually providing almost the equivalent, and I do mean almost, not the equivalent of a home care provider, but almost the equivalent of that, range anywhere from $300 a month to a few $1,000s a month, depending on the amount of services that client receives.
Okay, and are there any insurance coverages for the telemonitoring, telehealth, ambient technology services?
I have seen a few insurance companies pay for it, yep. And it really, and what I usually tell people is it really varies significantly policy to policy and carrier to carrier. So anybody that is interested in having their, their insurance pay for these types of services needs to really get in touch with their carrier and go through their policy with a fine-tooth comb. I think that it makes sense for insurance companies to pay for these types of supports because, in the end, insurance companies are all about saving money, and the longer that they can keep somebody in their home and decrease medical emergencies or health-related costs, it's a win-win for them too.
Mm-hmm. Got a couple of sort of specific questions here, Dustin, and one of them is asking about the use of the robot dolls that are being created in Japan right now, and have
Yes.
you seen any indication that they're being used anywhere here in the States, especially for people with cognitive challenges?
The seal, I'm assuming
Yes,
that they're
seal.
referring to.
Yes.
I haven't heard of them being used over here yet, but I have seen them, and there's a really good video. If you Google TV Tokyo, they actually did a piece on those, and I'm sure you can find that. It is in Japanese, so it's a little difficult to hear and understand, but it's a pretty good video.
Good, good. Do you have any idea if this ambient technology is something that the federal government is looking into providing coverage for?
I can't say that the federal government is. I can say that state governments are through their Medicaid waiver programs. There's actually been adopted in several states reimbursement for this more telecare type service that I was initially talking about through waiver programs. And most of the states we've seen are starting on the DD side, the disability side, as opposed to the aging side. But I'm very certain these aging departments of aging in these different states and the state Medicaid agencies will be incorporating these types of technologies into Medicaid waiver programs.
And this is pretty specific, Dustin, but do you have any idea which states are covering this now? Or is there a resource that you would know that someone could go to find that out?
Indiana, Kansas, and Ohio will begin on July 15th of this year. West Virginia recently had this approved, Louisiana, and then there are a handful of other states that I'm aware of that are in the beginning processes of looking at what regulations and what changes in their waivers need to happen to make it incorporate them.
Good, good, fabulous. And Laura, we have a question here for you. Is there any type of a standard safety check that someone could access to do a quick safety check of their parents' home?
Absolutely. We happen to use a really good safety checklist that we've created.
Could you speak just a little louder?
Oh, I'm sorry. Absolutely. We have a checklist that we use currently. I'd be more than happy to send it to the person. It's very thorough, but it's quick, and it captures what you really need to focus on within your home. And also the Department of Aging has a checklist, and so does the Alzheimer's Association has a pretty good safety checklist as well. Most are big organizations like that are specific to the needs of what you're going through.
Good, good. I believe that we have, unless someone else asks a question, just got a wonderful comment, editorial comment, excellent presentation, so thank you both, which would love to say that you both did a great job. Laura DeBruin, thank you so much, and Dustin Wright, thank you so much. And I'd also like to thank the National Private Duty Association because they are providing these webinars in a variety of topics. And we had a question, could you please send that checklist to all of us? So hopefully, Laura, you can send that checklist to Joni, and she can send it out when she sends the presentation out.
Perfect.
So that would work, I think.
Sure.
And there will be a survey. When you close out of this webinar, there will be a survey, and we would love for you all to please take a moment and fill that out, because that allows NPDA to get ideas about what types of presentations you would like to see in the future, and provide this excellent service to those of you who are struggling with some of these issues of aging parents or trying to decide about what to do when one of your loved ones needs care. So thank you so much, everyone, and this will conclude our presentation. And Joni, thank you for facilitating all of this. And everyone have a great evening tonight.